Hello, welcome. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Adeela Afiz, and I'm here today with one of our wonderful graduates of the Business Upgrade program, as well as our Body Whispering and Business Whispering class. And first of all, congratulations are in order because most recently, Christie, you have become a best-selling author. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's so exciting. And honestly, all the work that I've done with you has been a massive contribution towards that. So it's just exciting and amazing. And yeah, so good to be here talking to you.
Yeah, it is really cool. And one of the things that when I first met you in Business Upgrade, you'd literally left a corporate career and you were starting out in this wonderful world of facilitation, coaching, energy healing. Tell me a little bit about what's happened to your life and to your business since then, and tell us a bit more about the book.
Yeah, it's been a crazy journey. It was. I did Business Upgrade with you last year, and that was the first thing that I did with you. And it was just as COVID was starting. And so I had left that corporate environment, started my business, and then within a few weeks, COVID hit, and it was all a whole new world. And so going through that program was just so amazing to be able to come along every fortnight and really get my questions answered, let go of the doubt and the fear and the crap. And the last, nearly 2 years now has just been amazing. Just continually being able to up level and experience this whole other world. To be honest, when I was in corporate, I didn't know what energy was. I didn't know that this other world existed. And so the last 2 years of my life compared to the 40 odd before that, just completely different, and absolutely loving the journey. And the book, I guess, that was a real journey in itself, because being able to share a personal story, a story that was a big part of my experience, my journey, getting to know me again, really stepping into who I wanted to be in the world. And it was such a healing journey as well, which I wouldn't have been able to go on had I not had already gone on the journey I had up to that point. And so in writing in Phoenix Rising, it really was to be able to share that story with the world and let people know that no matter what they're going through, they are not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so hitting bestseller, and we were number one in Australia on Amazon, and then the next day we hit number one in the US as well. And so that was just like, oh my God, like I wanted to share my story to let people know that they're not alone. And that in itself says, that number one bestseller status says that so many people are already being impacted by that story. And that's just amazing.
And it's an amazing title, Phoenix Rising. And what is, to go from being someone that starts, I know for many of us, when we started doing work where we want to impact the world, help others, make a difference, it's that personal, it's very much a personal journey, right? And more than half the battle and Business Upgrade, half of the program, is the mindset stuff. It's the personal belief. It's the doubt. It's the fear. It's the, can I put myself out there? Who am I to call myself an expert? Can I charge people for what I offer? Can I really charge that much for what I offer? That is the journey, right? So to have to write a book, which is such an accomplishment, to have contributed towards a book that's been published and is out there in the world, is such a testament to that journey as well, because as you've said, there's complete strangers reading it and resonating with it and making it number one.
It is. And honestly, like I remember coming back to those fortnightly upgrade sessions and, had been taking action and going out there, and I was a massive action taker, being in corporate for my whole career. That was what I did. I took action and I achieved stuff.
Yeah.
And this was a whole different ball game. And then with COVID on top of that, and being able to come back and go, I'm taking this action and it's not showing up the way that I want it to show up, and having that support to be able to overcome that and let that go was just so amazing. And it was being able to utilize those tools, after doing that and then going through body whispering and business whispering as well, going through the journey of writing and having those moments where it's like, oh crap, what have I done? Like, do I really want to do this? Like, do I really want to put this story out into the world? Do I want to share, my innermost thoughts and feelings with the world, and be judged for that? And being able to access those tools and come back to center and tap in and really connect with myself, and go with what my heart said was right, and know that I could let go of the doubt and that moment I was having. I know there was one moment where I'd been interviewed about the book, and my video editor had sent it back to me for review, and I pressed play, and the first thing that it says is, I loved my husband, but I wasn't in love with my husband. And I was just like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. And I stopped it, and my daughter was there. She's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, that was a lot.
Oh my gosh, that is so confronting. Like, to hear, especially if they take snippets and you're like, oh my gosh, where's the context?
Exactly. I'm like, I know I wrote that in the book.
Yeah.
But it was like hidden amongst other words, amongst the whole book. Like, you had to read through to get to that point. But on a video going on social media, that was just like,
it's such a, we talk about this a lot, actually. The visibility aspect of being an entrepreneur, first of all, and then being an entrepreneur, because we are service-based entrepreneurs, and most of us, especially when you start out, we're doing it on our own. So you are the face of the business, and what you share to create clients that understand your journey and feel like they resonate with who you are and what you have to offer is you being vulnerable. And it's saying things like that, and it's sharing your journey, whether it's relationships, whether it's financial, whether it's the healing you've had to go through. And I think that that's the hardest part. And what I love about what you were just saying, though, is also the growth that is evident, because I know when we start and in the program, there's so many conversations around, I'm terrified just to show up to do my first Facebook Live, or even to start posting on social media. And if you look at this journey, and then you look at you being able to be okay with that going out, not just to your personal social media channels, but actually, as you say, to people all over the world that don't know you and don't have that context, it really shows the growth that's occurred and the journey you've been on.
Yeah, and that vulnerability really is key. And that was one of the things that I wanted to achieve, was as I wrote the story, and I did the draft, and I went back and I went over it so many times, taking it to another level, because as I read through it, I was like, I want this to connect with the people who need it. I want it to connect with the people who are feeling the way I felt. And if I can't articulate that, if I can't put that on the page for them to connect with, then I'm not supporting them. I'm not helping them. They don't get that opportunity to feel like they're not alone, because I wasn't open enough, I wasn't vulnerable enough on that page. And so I sort of did lots of rewrites, and then I sent it to my mum. And she rang me and she goes, oh, it's open and vulnerable. And I'm like, awesome. I'm like, that's what I'm going for. She's like, do you really want to share that?
Wow.
And I said, yes. I said, for that exact reason. I said, I want people to know they're not alone. And if I can't share it, they won't know that. And so, that was, when she said that, it was like, okay, I got it.
Has it facilitated amazing conversations for you going forward, having this be out in a book?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It did bring to light how private and closed off I had been before, even with friends and family. You know, as they've read the book, they've been approaching me going, wow, I didn't know that you were going through that. I didn't know that that was your experience. And so that's been really nice, I guess, to improve those relationships, for them to understand me on another level, but then to have strangers messaging me and just go, you know, I just read it and, you know, I can so resonate and thank you for sharing. And it's just like, oh, it's so worth it. So worth it.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. What do you think one of the greatest, if you look back to Christie 2 years ago, you've left corporate, you're starting out, it's a whole new world, it's COVID. Starting this upgrade, you're like wondering what on earth you've done. What's one piece of advice you'd give yourself looking back now?
Oh, trust myself, trust the universe. That was the biggest struggle for me. Being an action taker, somebody who made things happen, to be able to step back and trust that I had done enough, that what I was doing was going to work out. It just wasn't necessarily going to work out the way that I expected it to work out, or I decided it had to work out. And that was a long time. That was a long journey for me to be able to trust my knowing and trust my heart. You know, if my heart was saying do this and not that, to trust that even when it didn't make sense.
Which is so the crux of body and business whispering, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But we talk about this a lot, and I want to kind of emphasize that point, because even for people who, like, for example, yourself and actually many other people who do business upgrade, they come from a really successful background and career in corporate. It's not like you're, you know, not doing great at corporate. And the thing with that, one of the most challenging things that people feedback to me is, why the doubt then? Like, why was I so confident? Why was I like a corporate executive who absolutely, as you say, could go out, get the job done, knew that I could do it, knew that I was worth every penny of that 6-figure salary. Then when you come to starting and running your own business, it's a totally different mindset game. And that doubt and that fear and that, as you say, like that trust seems to disappear. And there's so much self-doubt and there's so much, am I doing the right thing or not? Should I do this or not? Will this work out or not?
Oh, there certainly is. And you're right. Like, I was a regional manager for the largest building society in Australia. I was successful. I was doing amazing things in that world. And once, you know, I felt really confident at first when I first took the leap and started my business. And then as the hurdles came and as things didn't show up the way I expected them to show up, that's when all of that doubt set in. And there was a lot of, oh my God, what have I done? Am I doing the right thing? You know, it felt right to do this thing, but now it's like, oh, is it going to work out? Should I be doing something else? And comparison as well, getting into that, comparing outside of myself to go, what is everybody else doing and what's working for them? And, oh, should I be doing that? And a lot of that just didn't feel right to be doing. But then it's that doubt that is making you question yourself and look at other ways. And that's what I loved about the business upgrade program and body whispering and business whispering, is it is about coming back to you and checking in with you and what's right for you, not what is everybody else doing. And so that's always a good reminder just to come back.
It's such a trap, isn't it? The whole what's everyone else doing? And we are an industry, so coaching, facilitating, healing, it is an industry. And when you look around and it looks like other people are doing a good job on social media or they're making it work, you still fall into that comparison trap of, should I be posting like that? Should I be making what I do sound like that? Do I need to have a photo shoot that looks like that? Do I need my branding to look that way? It's the same things that occurs in any other industry, except, like I said earlier, it's almost harder. Well, it is harder in my experience, because it's not a product that you're putting out there. It's not a shop front. It's you. And it's a very personal service that you're providing. It is what people are buying is your expertise, your time, and your energy in helping them change their lives. So it is hard, especially when you start out, to not take it personally when things are not going well.
I know. I still, you said that to me one day. I'd said, I had all these people respond to my event, and they were going to come along, and then they haven't paid, and it hasn't shown up, and you're like, don't take it personally. Like, just let them be. Like, it doesn't matter whether they show up or not, the right people will be there. It's not about you. Don't take it personally. It's like, oh, thank you.
And I mean, acknowledging you and being able to receive that, because that advice is easier said than heard. And I was actually saying that yesterday as well in another call, is it's not personal, but it feels personal in that moment. Can you remember, or is there anything that really jumps out at you looking back now about Business Upgrade in terms of a favorite module or your favorite takeaway, or something that you think helped you the most in that period?
I don't know. I think there were separate modules, but money and marketing. I feel like we had a conversation in the marketing component about pricing.
Yes.
And how to structure programs, and how to feel comfortable with the price that you're charging, and the value that is giving. And I think you said something about if you're not charging enough, then they're also not going to get the value. They're not going to be committed. They're not going to see the value in it. They're not going to get the same outcome that they could if you're doing it for too cheap. And that really resonated and stuck, because it's so true. And I know that I do that in my life when I'm looking at different things. If it's too cheap or it's free, then I don't have the same commitment for it. It might be an amazing course or service or whatever. But if I haven't paid for it, or if I haven't paid enough, then I don't commit. I don't see the value. And so that was really beneficial, to be able to have that resonate and get comfortable with it, because it wasn't comfortable initially.
And integrating that and really owning it, right? Because because on one hand, that makes sense to all of us. We can hear that and we can go, that I operate in that same way. But when you flip the table and you're the person that's needing to charge that amount, when you're, and you're thinking, I don't know if I can really be confident in backing myself to put that price out there. It's such a journey in congruence, and we spend a lot of time talking about congruence in that program. But congruence with marketing, but congruence with pricing, congruence with what you're offering. I think that's a really, absolutely fantastic takeaway. And I think it's a conversation that many of us, we do a lot of work on money in the program, because we tend to be a certain type. My clients, the people in my programs and classes, we're intuitive, we're empathic, we are healers, we are people who are wanting to contribute to others. What that normally is inversely proportional to is our level of healthy money mindset, if we've never done any work on it around being willing and able to have and charge a lot of money because we see that as a disservice to others. And it's really a job. Like, I know I have dedicated years of personal development to that. It's really one of your jobs, if you are one of these people like ourselves, to actually do the research, educate yourself on why that is not the case, and really change that ingrained pattern, that way of functioning, for your business as well as for yourself.
Yeah, most definitely. And I remember, you were making us say it out loud, how much do you charge? And we had to respond, and listening to everybody else do it, but doing it myself as well. It was just like, oh, God. Like, okay, that's how much you want to charge. Now you need to say it.
Guys, no, I'm kidding.
But that really hit me. It was like, okay, if I want to charge this amount, it's not just incongruent for me when I'm trying to say it, but they're picking up on that. They're feeling that as the receiver of that information. And it was so obvious when, I'm watching other people doing it as well. It was just like, wow, okay, yes.
And that's the whole thing. Right? Because what is so ironic, kind of, is a lot of us are working with energy. And so that incongruence is energetic. And here we are doing energy work and being so in tune and aware ourselves. And yet there is this major incongruence when it comes to the money part. And it's why it's actually a favorite area of mine to speak on and facilitate on. For that reason, not because it's about money per se, but because of the change it can create. If we can be empowered around this and congruent with this, then we can be congruent with almost anything, because money's kind of like that, that last mountain or hill to conquer on our personal development business journey. Is there anything that you think, like, if I were to ask you, what do you think makes this program, the Business Upgrade Program, different to maybe other programs that I'm sure all of us, we're bombarded with adverts and Facebook ads and have probably invested in other programs and trainings? Is there anything that you think makes this different?
It's the learning to connect with yourself, to trust you. And that more largely is about being authentic and in your own integrity and following your heart. And if you can't follow your heart, if you can't hear it, then how do you find authenticity? How do you find integrity? And so you do get stuck comparing to everybody else and everything else that's out there, trying to figure it out. What's right, what's going to be the answer. And so being able to really just connect with you for those answers it's just the answer. It is just the answer, even when it doesn't make sense. And going through the program, one of the other big things for me was, as you mentioned before about being service providers and empaths, and we want to help everybody, and we try to help everybody. And I was asking you about a client that I had seen in one of the sessions, and you said to me, you need to be aware of what they can receive, because you can do amazing things and you're powerful, and just because you can do it doesn't mean that they can receive it or that you should. And that really stuck with me. And I mean, that was a paying client, but it also then overflowed into all the people that I want to help, that I know I can help, that aren't ready for it, that aren't open to it, that don't want the help. And it really changed that mindset for me to go, okay, just because I can, just because I know that I've got the ability to change their life, doesn't mean I should. And that sort of really redirected me to let those people go. And that linked into the money as well, because it's like, if you're not prepared to pay the money, you're not ready. You're not committed. So when you are, come back, and then you'll truly be able to make the change.
100%. I love that. And what that also reinforces, as you said, with the money, is your value of what you do increases so much in your own eyes. Like when you're willing to acknowledge, actually, what I do is so powerful and is so helpful, and it really needs to be invested into the right people. Like, yes, people are investing in me financially and with their time, but also I'm investing in them. Like, I'm choosing to work with this person instead of someone else that could have that slot. And that needs to be someone who is able to receive, is a congruent fit for us to work together, and actually generates and creates more for both of us, rather than leaving you drained and not enjoying what you're doing at the end of it.
Yeah. And honestly, the first time I was able to say no to a client, to go, you're not a good fit, that was so empowering. That was amazing, because up until that point, it was like, oh no, I just want to work with anybody who will work with me, and I just want to do this business and I want it to work. And as I sort of did the work and got to that point where I could really say, you know what, you're not my client.
Yeah.
I'm not the right person for you. You're not the right person for me. That was a real turning point in my business energetically. That made a massive difference. It felt amazing. It was empowering, but that shifted everything in my business. Just being able to say no to someone that wasn't aligned.
That is a huge step. And for a lot of people, and even if people are listening to this and you're maybe thinking, gosh, I'm so not at the point where I could do that, or I can't imagine turning down a paying client. That is A, the journey we go on, and B, it's such a great example of a conversation that comes up in business is, do you have a niche? Have you defined your niche? Do you specialize in working with a certain group of people? And in Business Upgrade, I always have people ask me. In fact, at every level of business coaching, I have people ask me about that. And something that I say is, I don't believe in creating a niche, but your niche will be created as you get more and more aligned and authentic with who you are and what you do. So other business programs, other business coaches, they kind of start from the outside and then go in. And you were talking about this before as well, where you said this program teaches you to trust yourself and do what's true for you. And that's what makes it different, because it's not a program where there's 6 modules where everyone has to do the same thing and find their niche, define their niche, market to their niche, and then close their clients using the same script. That's not what this program is. It's about, who are you? What's congruent for you? How would you like to create your business? How do we clear the blocks to you being totally ready and willing to go out into the world and find your ideal people?
Yes.
And if we do it from that position or place, then your niche arrives, whether it's 6 months down the line or 6 years down the line. Like with me, it was body whispering took years to become my thing, right?
Yeah.
But doing it the other way around is almost setting yourself up for failure instead of success, because what if you don't like your niche after you decide on it?
You're trapping yourself in. And that was one of the things that was so freeing to me, because I had been on other courses and I was just like, no, how old are they? And what sex are they? And what is their problem? And it was just so like, what
is your ideal client avatar? And how do you advertise?
So when you kind of went, no, you don't need to niche down. And it wasn't just the words, you were living that as well. There are so many different aspects to what you do. And so it was like, no, Adeela can do it. She's successful. And this feels better to me. And you're so right. Over that time, it has really uncovered itself. And as I've grown and learned, it's become more refined. But I couldn't have like I have quite a defined niche now today, but there's no way that I could have gotten to that point 12 months ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago. No way.
Yeah. It is. It's a totally different path to authentically getting there instead of trying to decide what it is, because we actually don't know what we don't know, right? So as you say, like, you couldn't have figured out cognitively or logically to go and be, this creator of this niche that you are probably now working with predominantly. And that's the beauty of following the process and trusting yourself rather than doing what you think you need to do to get it right.
Yeah. And it's been so beautiful seeing, as I've gained that clarity through those experiences, the people showing up to work with me have changed.
Yeah.
And they always match. Whatever I'm focused on is what they match.
Yeah.
And then I gain some more clarity and I shift and move, and then the people showing up shift and move. Yeah. And it's so magical. It is so magical.
It is so magical. One of my favorite sayings, and it takes a long time to embody it, I think, and for it to make sense. But I talk about money being a byproduct of what you showing up as you and doing what you love doing in the world. And I know, and I completely empathize, because we've all been there. I know when money is tight. I know when you're starting out in business and you can't see the wood for all the trees. I know it's hard to trust that one day you can just do what you love doing, be picky about who you work with, and absolutely just have magical experiences every day and make good money. For you to trust me when I say this is possible, even my dog agrees.
Yeah, it's okay. You can follow your dreams and get money.
But I love that you've said that, because this is you embodying that example.
Yeah. And as I've done that has built that trust. It's going through those experiences and leaning back and trusting into what my heart says, and seeing it materializing, and really recognizing that, and recognizing myself for creating that as well. And it's built that trust over time. And so now, even, when it's something that's bigger, that's about, outlaying a lot of money, or, it's a big decision, and logically you look at it and go, oh, on paper, here's all the reasons why I shouldn't do this. But in my heart, it's like, no, I have to, I want to, it just is amazing, I'm going to do it. And for me, the story that I shared in Phoenix Rising was about me wanting to leave that marriage. And I share in that book on paper how it didn't make sense to leave. Because on paper, he was the perfect husband. It was the perfect relationship. Apart from the fact that I wasn't in love with him. Everything, every logical thing I could come up with said stay in the relationship. And in my heart, I'm like, but I don't want to. And so then I was beating myself up about that, because I couldn't justify my decision. And these are, I think, the hardest choices for us to make, when in our heart we know that it's right or it's not, and nothing else adds up. And trusting that knowing has just, game changer.
Yeah, I love that, because it's that concept of being willing to give up the good for the great. But that's actually not a good reason in this reality. Like, no one,
No.
I know, I certainly did not get brought up to leave something perfectly good because our heart tells us there's something better, to give up something that is, whether it's a perfectly good paying job, whether it's a good marriage, as you say, on the outside, whether it's you're comfortable. Why would you want, or why do you need to push the envelope further for more? Why can't you be happy with what you have? Because in everyone else's point of view, you have enough and you should be happy. And what does it mean about them if that's not enough for you, okay? And so
Mm.
people don't like not being able to rationally or cognitively understand
Yeah.
why something isn't enough for us.
Mm.
And yet we're not here, or the full experience of being here is not a cognitive or logical experience. It's a heart-led and a spiritual and an infinite experience
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
can't quantify.
No, that's right. And I think so many people need to have gotten to that point where they've achieved everything that they thought they needed in order to feel happy and fulfilled. I know that was the case with me. It's like, oh, well, if I get this success in my career and, you know, I've got the family and the relationship and the house and all, and I got it all.
Yeah.
And then I was even more unfulfilled and more unhappy than I had been before I had it. And I was just like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Like everybody else would be happy with this. Why can't I be happy? And so to then go, oh, I'm going to throw it all away now after working for 20 years to achieve it, throw it away to take this chance for something greater. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Tell us where we can get our hands on this book of yours, because it sounds amazing. Go ahead and tell us how people can find you.
Yeah, so the book's available on Amazon. So it's Phoenix Rising, Women Who Have Risen from the Ashes to Claim Their Power. And I just so love that title. But yeah, it's on Amazon. The Kindle version is available at the moment, and the paperback version is coming out maybe by the end of the week. We're hoping it's going to be available on Amazon by the end of the week, which is super exciting to be able to physically hold that book in my hands. So excited about that. And I'm just beginning to write in my next multi-author book as well. So the next one is actually called Corporate Dropouts, and which is just perfect for me leaving corporate and becoming an entrepreneur. And these two stories are really the main stories in my journey of having to go back inside myself, discover who I am and what impact I want to have on the world, and then have the courage to step into that. The relationship and then corporate. They're kind of the two bookends, if you like, of the journey that I have been on. And so I'm really excited for that one to come out in January as well. But yeah, for now, you can absolutely get Phoenix Rising on Amazon.
That's amazing and so courageous on both fronts and both topics. And just want to congratulate you again and also wish you all the best for everything that's coming up for you in the future. We're so proud of you. Our Business Upgrade graduate, Body Whisperer, Business Whisperer, wishing you every success. You have gone out and you, as you said, you worked, like you actioned everything you could, and seeing how it's contributed to your success is absolutely heartwarming. And I could not be prouder, and also grateful for you willing to share your story today and with the rest of the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to have come across you. It was a friend who sent me a link to the money challenge, the 5-day money challenge, and she was like, it's out there. It's not something you'd be familiar with, but check it out because it's amazing. And I was just like, I was in love from the very first live that I attended.
And now you're like, this is normal. This is just running the mill stuff.
Yes, so normal.
Nothing out there at all about this.
So grateful to have come across you.
Just reminded me, Christie's had some amazing successes with our 5-day money challenge that we run every year. So we'll post some links. We'll post the link for Christie's book on Amazon below. We'll also post the links for Business Upgrade and the free money challenge if anyone wants to check it out. And all the best, Christie. And I hope that the future is even brighter, and I can't wait to see your next book come out into the world and also hit that #1 bestseller spot. So take care.
That's the plan. Thank you very much. Take care.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.